YouTube, you're very welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about bodybuilding, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're going to start off with the bad stuff because we love drama, but it's not all negative, and that's not what this video is. Because I want to talk about my experience this year, my previous experience with bodybuilding in the past, and while I want to shed light on some uncomfortable and negative things associated with bodybuilding, that's not what this is, okay? I'm simply making this as almost as a video that when I started out, something that would have benefited me when I was younger. Someone who's just getting into this stuff. This is the video, I'm coming from that point of view, this is the video I would want to watch. So I'm going to go through the good, the bad stuff, and offer up, if someone was getting into this, at the very end, I'll tell you exactly like what I think you should have in order, what I think you should do, the approach you should take if you're going to do this. Because it's an amazing sport. Some people get a bit funny when you call bodybuilding a sport. They're like, it's not a sport. Well, it kind of is. As far as like my update, I haven't updated you in quite some time on WMBF Worlds. Part of that is because my ESTA waiver for America got denied 2 weeks ago, and I was like, what? And long story short, I have an interview coming up this Tuesday. As of recording this, today is the 31st of October. It's Friday. It's a high day, which means more food. And that means I have my interview Tuesday, which is the 4th of November, 7:30 in the morning. I have to be up in Dublin at the US Embassy to get grilled by whoever's going to interview me. Essentially convince them I'm not a terrorist. I'm not trying to stay in your country illegally. I just want to go to America, compete, eat a load of your good food, and then come home. That's all. Let a man do that.
I thought this was America! Huh? Isn't this America?
Why the ESTA was denied, by the way, was because I traveled to Cuba back in 2020, just as a tourist. Very silly, but when I input that into applying for the ESTA, that got flagged, and therefore I got denied.
Not this time. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction.
I'll give you a proper update on my situation in the next video. This video is all about the realities of a prep. So the good and the bad. Everything that encompasses a prep that I feel someone who wants to get into this should really be made aware of. This is not to try and get any sympathy from myself. It's not to kind of show how hardcore I am. It's just simply just trying to be transparent with the whole thing. Because you want to, on social media, you see what people want you to see. You see the highlight reel. Like, nobody's going to be posting up the sad stuff all the time. When someone does that, it's a bit sus that they're getting a camera, setting it up, and then this is it. Sure, maybe that's your style. Each to their own. That it's not me. But this video, I thought I would share like some of the negative stuff that I have experienced this year that I haven't really been vocal about because I just get on with it. But nonetheless, it's there. And a lot of this stuff, I sort of expected it coming into this, which is something important I'll touch on as well at a different point in this video. So, with this whole process, like where do you even start with the bad? Let's get the obvious out of the way. You're trying to get as lean as you possibly can. You're going to be hungry. There's just no getting around that. You're going to be hungry.
I'm freaking starved. I didn't get to eat anything today.
And hunger, personally, has not been the worst part of this whole thing. I find from my body, it's almost like my body goes through phases of trying to get me to either eat more or conserve my energy. Because our body ultimately doesn't care about us getting shredded. If anything, it doesn't want us to get shredded because our body's like, is there a famine? We don't have enough resources coming in to do everything we need to do within the human body to keep it alive, keep it functioning. I find hunger is the first thing my body hits me with. And when I don't give in to that hunger, it hits me with something else. It goes, okay, hunger's not working. He's still doing the dieting thing. He's still prepping. The hunger's not working. The hunger cues aren't doing it. Let's ramp things up. More like let's ramp things down. And that brings me to the next point, which is energy. The energy slumps I've experienced this year have been insane. And I'm going to find it quite interesting. The months after I'm done with all this prepping and I'm eating like a regular human being again and gaining some body fat back in my body, I'm going to find it interesting to see just how different I feel, because like I just checked there on the laptop, how many days has it been since January 8th of 2025? That's when I started this. 296 days. Now, that's not 296 days in a deficit, because I have not been dieting or placed myself in a deficit every day since the 8th of January. No way, Jose. I'd be like, that's like skinny, for those who didn't get that reference. I'd be hella skinny, or just like gone completely, faded away. But still, nevertheless, like 296 days for this whole entire process this year, long time. So I assume I've almost gotten used to just feeling the way I'm feeling, and there might come a time in a few months, I've heard people talk about this, where you're just like, whoa, this is actually what I should be feeling like. This is normal. So I'm going to find that quite interesting, and I'm going to welcome that feeling back as well. But the energy dips throughout this year have been insane. Like I spoke about it before, I'll go for a walk, and after about 4,000 steps, I'm tired. I'm wrecked, and I'm dragging my feet. I'm tripping over myself. The amount of times I trip, it must be hilarious, because it happens more often than not when there's nobody around, because I walk like country roads or whatever. But I trip over myself. I trip over the footpath because I'm kind of dragging my feet. Like your ability to even walk with like a good pace changes depending on how bad the energy dip is, or what time of day it is, or if it's the end of the week after a week of dieting, or at the start of the week after you've refed with calories. I'm dragging my feet and tripping over myself. I do it so much. Katie, actually, I'm with Katie a good bit, and I do it. She starts laughing at me every time, and I'm like, if only you knew. So the energy is chronic, which also means like if there's something on the ground, I'm like looking at it, being like, simple things. I'm not joking. Simple things, like they become a chore. Stairs, picking stuff up, just simply existing, working with clients. I find like anytime I'm with my clients now, if there's, without even me realizing it, I'll like be leaning against something. Anytime we're at a station, I'll find something to lean my body against, because that's your body's way of conserving energy. So even standing up is energy consuming. So just simple everyday tasks are now a lot harder to do. And then, because that's your body's way of like trying to get you to conserve energy. It sees that there's very little energy coming in over a sustained period of time. Body fat is low. So it's like, we don't want this guy moving. We've got to keep what we have. But then you got to keep moving, which is why it's so important to track your steps, because a lot of the stuff I'm referring to, you can put that under the bracket of NEAT, like your non-exercise activity. These are like the unconscious movements we do, like blinking your eyes, moving your hands when you're talking. Like, do you ever find, I sometimes find when I'm with clients, I'm like moving around, not much lately. But these movements tend to drop. And if you're not tracking your steps, you may not notice these trends. And then like your fat loss progress might really slow down or plateau entirely, if you're not aware of this. But most people are. So most people are tracking their steps these days. So if you have a step target to hit, it doesn't matter how you're feeling, you go and hit that. And there's been times, especially this week, where I've been hungry. The weather's not great because we're coming into winter and it's raining a lot, where I've been hungry and I've been cold and I've been tired. I did not want to go for a walk, but you got to do it. It has to be done. So the energy dips are crazy. And then energy is also going to affect your training. So training is less enjoyable. You're not going to have the same gusto. Like most time last year especially, and most of all this year, to be honest, I felt like a certified nail gun in my training. Certified nail gun, meaning that I feel like an animal when I train. I love training hard. My training has gotten my physique to the place, like I credit my physique. What am I trying to say here? I credit the way I look, the way my body looks, to my training. But I don't just train purely for aesthetic purposes. I love being strong. I love the feeling of pushing myself. And mentally, I'm just a happier, better person when I can train hard and train how I want to. It's not just purely for aesthetic reasons. Even now that I'm competing and so close to a competition, it's not purely for that reason. So I think in large part, I haven't struggled with the training side of things too much, in the sense that I'm really like forcing myself to try and train. That happens to a lot of people, but honestly this time around, that's not something that has affected me personally too much, because I love training. And I remind myself, I really like to train. Like training is such a privilege, to be able to put our bodies through physical duress in order to look and feel better. And it's an hour of the day. It's an hour of the day where you're not thinking about anything. It's almost like meditation. It's your time to yourself. And like I said, it makes you feel good. Now, with that being said, I do feel weaker at times in some sessions. It's harder to get going than others. But even still, it's like, even on those days, it's like, so what? Like some of these days are expected. I know I'm going to feel good right after it's done. So that side of things, in terms of training, it hasn't impacted me too much, but your training will take a hit. Like your strength in some aspects will suffer. But I have to say, I've done a pretty good job of maintaining my performance, and even managing to still keep progressing with some of my lifts all throughout the year. That's especially through the first 6 months of the year, when I was losing weight but hadn't lost that much. Like, let's say when I went from like 97 kilos to 87 kilos, 10 kilos lost, I was still lifting the same weights and progressing. And even now I've managed to make some progressions, but I haven't been too offensive with my training. I've more so just been maintaining my performance with a lot of numbers at this stage, because I'm now 79 kilos. And a lot of that comes down to your mindset as well. It's like a real faulty beginner mindset to have. They're like, oh, as soon as you're in a deficit, like after 1 week, they're like, I must be weaker now because I have less food coming in. No, it doesn't happen that fast. Like, if you believe that's going to happen, it will happen. Like, think about it. If there's a lot of fat in your body has plenty of energy in reserve for you to pull from, even if calories are low for a week, 2 weeks. So don't buy into that crap, okay? So yeah, that's energy. Also cold, like right now, I'm wearing a hoodie, I'm wearing this top, I'm wearing like a thermal Under Armour top. I have real cozy pants on, I have leggings on underneath, thick socks. I am freezing a lot of the time, especially this time of year. If it was summer, it wouldn't be too bad, but we're coming into winter in Ireland, and it is grim at times with how cold I am. It's especially worse in the morning, because I'm training my clients, and like, I'm stationary for the most part. I'm standing there, and when you're standing there, you're just getting colder and colder, and it's something you have to bear in mind as well. The leaner you get, you have less insulation on your body. You're not as warm of a human. A prep will take up most, if not all, of your day. This can be a good thing as well, because a lot of times when the busier we get more efficient with our timetable. And I definitely found that to be true at times. But there's no getting around that this is going to take up a lot of your time, especially towards the tail end, where you have to ramp up things like, in my case, posing practice. To pose every day, that takes a bit of time. I have to go for walks every day. My steps, the last month, I've put them up to 20,000 steps, around that every day. So 20,000 steps is a lot. Then I train 5 days. That's usually going to take a minimum of an hour, sometimes more, sometimes less. and then you have to prep meals and do all that stuff. Some of this stuff I was already doing. Like I already train. I already like prep meals. It's really just the posing practice now and the steps added on top of that. It can be a lot. So this stuff is going to take up a good bit of your time. And just in general, this bodybuilding and getting very shredded is something that just is 24/7. Like you're thinking about it all the time. You wake up, you're thinking about the things you have to do today. It's like every day you just have this checklist of things you know you need to take off. And that's what your everyday life while you're in prep, that's what it more or less becomes. Like my days are so routined. And again, my days were already routine before the prep. Like my life hasn't changed all that much, but I'm just doing a little bit more on top of it. And I like routine. I thrive off of a good routine. I don't understand people who like who are like every day is different from the next. I couldn't live like that. Each their own, but that's not me. So I'm my personality type is very suited to bodybuilding in that sense. But every decision you make affects the end result. Like when I say 24/7, it starts with your sleep. Like how are you sleeping every day? Because if you're getting bad sleep, it could throw off the whole next day. It's going to affect like how you lose fat, how you build or retain muscle. It's going to impact your mood. It's going to make your hunger potentially worse, cravings worse, training performance worse. So sleep, you need to make sure you're getting a really good sleep. And towards the end of a prep where you're extremely lean, this only started happening to me 3 months ago, like 1 month out from my first show, where sleep gets really impacted. Like you struggle to actually go to sleep and then you're struggling to stay asleep. You wake up really early. Everything you put in your mouth has to be pretty much tracked, monitored. The amount of water you drink matters. Supplements now matter a lot, especially again, because we're in prep, we're eating less. So now we aren't getting as much of the nutrients our body potentially needs. So you definitely need to make sure you're on top of your supplementation as well. So food, everything has to be prepped. You have to make sure you are training when you're supposed to be training. I train 5 days a week, non-negotiable. You train all the time. You do not miss a session. It's just this whole thing consumes your life. Like compare this to someone who's like plays a sport like football, basketball. You train maybe 2-3 days of the week, and then you have a game on the weekend. So you're not really too consumed by what you're doing. But with bodybuilding, it really like everything you do really matters. Everything you do throughout your day, it all matters. It all affects the end result. So you have to be on top of everything all the time and be super consistent with it. And it's extremely unhealthy for your body. Now, we have to distinguish between being shredded and being lean. The unhealthy type of lean comes with a competition, like a bodybuilding prep. It's not healthy at all because you're trying to get really shredded. Don't confuse that with like being beach lean or photo shoot lean, because often there's a lot of health benefits that come with losing excess body fat and putting yourself into a mild calorie deficit. It's very good for your health. I've just taken this to the extreme end, to the point where this is no longer good for my health. My body is in a state of fight or flight for the most part every day because body fat is extremely low. Energy coming in is non-existent 5 days of the week, and that's going to have an impact on your health. Like your hormones are going to take a hit as a result. So for a man, testosterone can almost be cut in half. I don't know, that's going to be individual. But just, I'm not trying to spout out exact numbers, but your testosterone is going to take a hit. If you're a woman, your menstrual cycle is going to take a hit. It's more often than not, women tend to lose their periods doing a competition prep, which is not normal. It's normal for a competition prep for things like this to happen, but that's not natural. That shouldn't be happening. Your hormones are going to be impacted. That's going to affect your energy production. Your satiety hormone, like leptin, is going to be ramped down. Ghrelin, your hunger hormone, is going to be ramped up. Like I said, reproductive hormones, it's just everything is going to take a hit. Getting shredded comes at a cost, and it really isn't a healthy thing to do for your body. It's not sustainable. And on top of that, your immune system is going to be a little bit more fragile. Like, I've been doing a really good job since my last show of not getting sick, touch wood. But I definitely noticed leading up to the last 2 shows that I was getting sick more than I usually would. I'm usually pretty good at not getting sick too much. Might happen to me once throughout the year. But I've been sick, I'd say 3 or 4 times this year already. And that is a lot for me. That really is. So your immune system is going to be somewhat more fragile in this very dieted down state. And then, so this is very unhealthy on your body. And I've talked about a lot of physical stuff and physiological stuff, but then don't think that this doesn't, how your body feels, doesn't impact your brain. Mentally, there are some serious battles that go on every day that I can attest to. And I don't talk about it, but like it can get like very dark up here when the fatigue is extremely high. So the fatigue, like the extreme energy dips, they come in waves. I'm not always really tired. I have good moments. Like today, for example, it's a refeed day and I've already had 2 meals and more carbs than usual. And I'm just after having a cup of coffee and a cookie croissant. A croissant. I'm going to take 1 bite out of this cookie croissant just so you can see the sheer joy in my face. And then I'm going to put the phone down and I'm going to really enjoy it. I just appreciate good food so much. Not even on prep. I know I'm on prep and like food focus is high. Yeah, food focus is always high for me. Okay? I love food, especially good food like this. And I'm feeling good. I feel normal, I think. When fatigue is high, mentally it can be such a struggle what goes on in your head. You can get very negative on yourself. You can feel sorry, you can start really feeling sorry for yourself. And then there's a lot of doubt in that, within that headspace there's a lot of doubt, self-doubt and almost anxiety. Like, are you good enough for what you're trying to do? Are you where you should be? Are you doing enough? It's so hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced this level of fatigue before, but when it hits, it's just dark. It's just not nice. It's really not a nice headspace to be in. As I'm editing this video, I was just going over the part where I was talking about how negative it can be, and it all sounds quite negative. But how do you combat that negativity when it happens? You know, when you're in that real negative mind space and things just suck. I was thinking about that a little bit more because I'd like to give a solution to that. And I suppose, do you know what? It's those moments of where everything is really tough that makes all this quite special, especially the end result. It's when you get to the end, and I can speak to this, you are almost confident in how everything's going to go. Not in terms of like placings or anything like that. You're just confident and proud of the effort you put in because of all those little moments you've had throughout the year where it's been very tough, that no one else has seen, that you've gotten through. All those moments add up, and they make the end result even more special, because that's the cost of doing all this, and not a lot of people are willing to do that. So it makes it more special. And plus, you can't have the highs without the lows. You're feeling so low in some of those moments, but then towards the end, like all the good moments that happen, you're going to feel them even more too. So a lot of the times people try and like, what's the solution to like feeling extreme hunger or fatigue? And there's things you can do, but sometimes It's all in the mind. You have to suck it up. You almost have to lean into it, embrace it. And yeah, as a result of that, you'll just feel better about the whole thing. Again, it's your choosing to do this. If it gets too much, you can stop at any time. All this stuff it really is a privilege to be able to do. So yeah, it's perspective, isn't it, really? So I was just getting some stuff from the car, going back editing. Hope you're enjoying the video. And then you can get you can get cranky and be off with people, or just low energy. So you have to try your best to not let that affect how you are around others, because that's not fair on the people around you. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've definitely let myself down in that department at certain points throughout the year. But I can say that I'm only human, and that's going to happen. You're going to let yourself down with people regardless of your current state of health or what you're doing. This could be last year and I'm healthy and I'm fine, and you make mistakes with people. It happens. But this year I've done a good job of trying my best to like put on a brave face with people. Some people who are close to me are probably like, no, you haven't. If that's your best, damn, I wouldn't like to see your worst. But no, I've done a decent job of trying to be a good person where I can. That was a goal of mine at the start of this year, because I did this before and I wasn't so conscious of that, and I was a bit of a dick. And it's not nice. It's not fair on other people around you. So yeah, mentally, like this can all become a challenge as well. And then you start like, because the focus is on your body and how you're looking, you start, even though you're looking great, every week you're seeing progress, you can get you can take that too far, and there can be a little bit of body dysmorphia. Like you can start looking at yourself being like, I don't look good, but you look amazing. You look incredible. And I know I look good. Like objectively, I know I look good. I have to remind myself that, wow, if this was like Dave 7 years ago, if he could see this physique now that we've developed and we've done naturally, just by training hard, putting in the time, he'd be over the moon. He'd be like, no way am I going to end up looking like that. And I'm not trying to say that I'm not trying to be cocky saying that, but I'm just saying that because when you start competing and you're trying to get to a certain level, it's like, when is it enough? Because even though I know I look good, it's not good enough. I have to keep pushing for more. So therefore, I don't look at myself and think, oh, you're looking good. I'm like, okay, we're a little bit leaner here today, but more needs to be done. And that's just the way it is. Like that's just, it's the part of the sport where you have to recognize this is a sport, and it requires you to be objective and almost detach emotion from how you look. That is a hard thing to do. So if you're someone who struggles to do that, then maybe you shouldn't do this. But it's definitely a weird thing to look the best you ever have, but still be so critical of yourself. And that can be very unhealthy and very hard on someone if they're experiencing that for the first time, or they're just not ready for that. Whereas I have experience with that stuff before, so I just knew to expect that a little bit more coming into it this time. So yeah, there's a lot of mental turmoil with this stuff as well. It's not like if your body's impacted and your health is impacted, it's going to affect up here. I don't know, with the prep as well, like when you have a timeline closing in on you and you have this like checklist to do, there's anxiety that comes with that. Like you wake up every day almost like, I have to do this, and you get anxious about the things you have to do. And there's a sense of pressure. Like, but again, it's all like, it's in your head. Like you're the one putting pressure on yourself. Like if I feel pressure, there's nobody putting pressure on me. It's me doing this to myself. But what doesn't help this then is comparing yourself to what other people are doing. And something I started off really well this year was just going about this whole prep, doing it my way. Hence my song choice for my individual posing routine, Frank Sinatra My Way. I wanted to go about this prep in a way that was just very me, from start to finish, individual to me. And I've done a great job of doing that. But I found myself lately, like, almost suffering from a bit of imposter syndrome and looking at other people and being like, shit, should I be doing that? Should I not be doing this? And to give an example of that is like, every weekend, without fail, I've given myself back-to-back high days, Friday and Saturday. And I do that every week. And I bump my calories right up to 4,000 both days. And it's been working and it's been fine. And I've been getting the result I wanted while just making this whole process a little bit more manageable on myself. But then recently I haven't been sharing like my food, let's say on Instagram, putting up my stories, the food I'm having on the weekends. I found myself sharing that less and less because I see other bodybuilders who, when they have refeeds, they do it a certain way. They keep the fats very low. It's the same meals they eat throughout the week, but just bigger, because they're trying to really optimize things, keep fats low, bring up only carbs as a means to store more glycogen and not store any fat. And I just didn't take that approach. Like, obviously, if I'm increasing my food, my carbs are going up, so I'm getting like some of those benefits. But also my fats go up because I'm not really, my goal with my refeeds, as well as to give back to my body and give back to the systems, like hormonally, and sort of try and offset some of the negative adaptations that come with dieting. My refeeds are for that reason. They're not purely for that reason. They're for me to have like a mental break from what I'm doing. Somewhat of a mental break, because it's not a free-for-all. But like, I want to go out for food with my girlfriend. I want to eat good food. Like, I want to eat good food at the weekends. I want some cookies. I want pizza.
Busted. Little cookie on the way to the gym. Now, this doesn't count as a meal. You know, a lot of times you guys hear me talk shit about protein bars and protein cookies and fucking... This doesn't count. I'm having this as a yummy snack because I enjoy it.
But I'm going to do it within the confines of the calories I've allocated for the weekend. Like, I allocate 4,000 calories. It's like, okay, then stay within that. Still hit your protein. Still get a certain amount of fruit and veggies. And I've been doing that all this year, and I've been sharing my food, like eating pizza, having cookies, and just there before this video, the cookie croissant. And I just found lately I wasn't sharing that stuff, and I was like, I had to ask myself, you're not doing that because you're worried. You're thinking, you're identifying too much with like other bodybuilders, and then because they're not doing that, they're doing this a certain way. You're almost like a fake bodybuilder. Like you're not like you're not good enough to be doing this whole bodybuilding thing. And I had to check myself. I was like, whoa, like this is all happening in my head. Again, this comes back to the mental negativity that can happen. And I had to check myself. I was like, whoa, you've been doing this all year. It's been working. You won an overall of a bodybuilding show. You came first in both shows in your class. You won an overall. You're going to the worlds, like the LA stage, like these just came, like our Team Ireland tops that we're wearing in LA in just over 3 weeks' time. It's like, if that, like, what more proof do you need that what you're doing is working? And I found myself like really thinking about that, being like, damn, yeah, I did let that get to me. I was comparing myself and almost feeling like a bit of an imposter. But then I thought to myself, you wanted to do this your way. And I have. The approach I've taken, I'm not saying this is the best approach for everybody, but it is certainly the best approach for me. And isn't that how all of us should go about this process? If we're undertaking any diet, we should undertake it in a way that is very suited to us. Now, that comes with time and experience. I've been in this game for a long time, so therefore I've refined my process, and I've seen what works, what doesn't work. If I try and be too strict to myself, what like outcomes that has in terms from a behavioral standpoint and an adherence standpoint. So I have been doing this quite long I have been doing this for quite a while. So I've gotten myself to this place where I can, and I understand like the fundamentals of fat loss and muscle building. I've gotten myself to this place where I can go about this and do it my way. I don't have to. Fair enough if someone, and I'm not shitting on anyone else's process, and maybe I'm thinking like they're looking at me, judging me. No one has said anything to me. This is all in my head. This is all my problem. Like each to their own. I look at those guys, if they're doing that and they're happy doing that and that's their approach, cool. Good for you. This is mine. And if this works for me, great. So that was a bit of a funny one as of recent. I found myself just like almost feeling bad about my approach and feeling like I'm not worthy of everything I've achieved this year. But I've caught that and threw it in the bin. Useless thought. Like, there's a lot to be said for understanding how all this works. Dieting, fat loss, improving your physique, and then setting it up in a way where it is individual to you. Like, that is why our clients come to us. A lot of our clients in both online and in the gym in Precision, we have like guidelines to follow, and there's things they all need to be doing, but none of them are living or doing this the exact same way. We try and help them do it in a way that's sustainable for them, and that means the approach is going to look slightly different for everybody, and it's no different when it comes to a bodybuilding prep. Some people are just like they have their ways of doing things, and that's great. And we can all learn from each other and take what we like, take what's useful, like the Bruce Lee quote, and something whatever we don't like, well, then we don't have to do that. And this is where some humility comes into this as well. Like, this year I wanted to try things the way I wanted to do this, and I was curious to see, would it work? Like, how well would I get on? And because there's that element of, I didn't know. I had a fair idea, but I didn't know like what would happen, what would be the outcome. So this year is just as much as a learning experience for me. I've learned so much. It's been incredible. So I don't need to know everything. I don't need my approach to be perfect either. I don't need to be doing what some other bodybuilder is doing. I feel like I went on a bit of a rant there, but did you get what I'm saying? Like, that was the imposter syndrome. It was real. I was comparing myself. And don't get me wrong, comparing yourself can be very useful at times, and I've made serious progress because I've compared myself to someone else and looked at their actions and seen the results they were getting and been like, okay, if that person's doing that, I can do that and I can be better. So comparing myself has been good at times. It's all how you do it, isn't it? More negatives. This whole bodybuilding thing is extremely selfish, and it can not only affect you, but it can affect the people around you, because the people around you might want to do things with you, and maybe you have to train. Maybe you have to go get steps when they just want to chill. Maybe they want to go for a meal and you're like, oh, I can't today. I have to wait until this day. That's when I have my higher calories. It doesn't make sense to do it today. Your libido is going to be impacted. So that's your sex hormones, reproductive system is going to be downregulated. If you're single, you're not really going to give a shit about going out that much or meeting up with the opposite sex. If you're in a relationship, it can potentially impact. You can potentially have an impact on that and your sex life, because the desire to do that is not there. So that's where it's important to just have a conversation with your partner and let them know that it's nothing to do with them. It's what you're doing. This is the process of trying to get extremely lean. It comes at a cost, and this is one of them. And I would say, like, if you find like the prep stuff is really impacting your relationship, then you have to ask yourself, is it really worth it? Because at the end of the day, as much as I love doing this, and this year has been great, I would not do this at the expense of really hurting the people around me I love, or my girlfriend, who I cherish more than these competitions. And at the end of the day, if you want to win a competition, you want someone there to celebrate it with you. You don't want to be the dickhead who was a dick to everybody. You win, but then who are you going to share that with? So it puts things into perspective as well. The people in your life, they're so important to you. So recognize this is a selfish thing you're doing. Talk to the people around you and let them in on like what this is going to entail, what it's going to involve, that it can potentially affect your mood, your energy. You're probably going to be a little bit more introverted than usual. You're not going to be doing too many social things. And again, this is something I was aware of coming into it. So I prepared myself, and I have to say I've done a good job of I've had like weddings this year, my brother's wedding, friends' weddings. I went on holidays with my girlfriend more than a few times. Like you don't have to be so extreme to where you're not going out for food or doing any of these things. It's going to take a hit. You can't be doing it all the time, but like you can do it. Like you can make this work. Some bodybuilders, in my opinion, I think they get too extreme with this stuff, and it's like do or die. Tupperware in a restaurant, like that type of shit. Fair enough if that's you. That ain't me. I haven't done the Tupperware thing once this year. If I'm going out, if I'm going for food, I'm going for food. I'm going for some nice Nigerian food tonight. But yeah, I'm very lucky in the sense that the people around me are very understanding. Like my whole family, like we're all healthy people. My brother owns the gym I work at. My girlfriend is a personal trainer, so everybody around me sort of understands this anyways. Like my girlfriend loves watching YouTubers, and she's seen other girls prep, so she had an idea of that I was going to be experiencing some of this stuff anyways. So she's been very supportive, so I've been very lucky in that sense. That Katie has been just an absolute angel throughout this whole process, and I definitely have to put on like a brave front and be more upbeat with like other people, but then when I'm with Katie, I can like really be myself and just recharge my batteries and just be exhausted. Actually, like just be and she gets a lot of that. So credit to her. If you're like doing something like this, just talk to the people around you. Your environment plays such a crucial role in your success in all this. So yeah, very selfish thing to do, but just keep that in mind and try your best for the people. And it's funny, I feel like me being on prep this year has actually really benefited Katie and I's relationship. I feel like it's just brought us close together. It's been a really cool thing to do, to have Katie there supporting me and help me out the whole way. She would agree. I know she agrees because we've talked about this. It's been really good for our relationship, so that's been hugely positive. And again, coming back to like if you win something, I've had the pleasure and privilege, and I've just been very lucky in that I've won both my classes this year. And I never actually thought about this until now, but like every time I got backstage, Katie managed to get backstage both times to congratulate me and hug me, and that it was so nice. Like when I think about those days, when I think of the days of competing and certain moments, that's definitely one that comes to mind, is that Katie was there backstage both times to congratulate me and hug me, and that's exactly what I needed in that moment, because you're very overstimulated, emotions are all over the place, and like that's your person who's going to ground you. So be good to the people around you. Because like a lot of bodybuilders, they talk about like isolating themselves, and again, it is quite an isolating thing, but that's a choice as well. If you're going to isolate yourself, like you're choosing to do that. You can be more social, meet up with people, just have a drink, water, go for a coffee, go for a walk. find other activities to do. Like, at the end of the day, it's your choice and you can go about this however way you want to. So if you're choosing to isolate yourself, that's on you. I think the last thing that's worth touching on then is, because this can be restrictive, like in some way or another, you have to restrict yourself. In my case, I've gone about this in the most flexible manner I can, but like there has to be some level of restriction in terms of calorie restriction. With that is going to come potentially some disordered eating behaviors and some binge sessions, which I can attest to, especially in the past. This prep, I have not binged, and I solely credit that to my experience before, but just like every weekend, the refeeds, that has been like my checkpoint along the way each week. I diet, go through some hard times, like, okay, just get to Friday, we can relax, breathe. It's like you're underwater. And then Friday and Saturday, you come up and you just take a gasp, get yourself back, and then you can go again. So I haven't binged this year, thankfully. It's an awful feeling. And you feel so terrible and guilty, ashamed. And because you're doing a prep thing, you feel like you've failed. I've been there. It's a horrible feeling. And that can lead to some problematic outcomes in terms of eating behaviors, how you view food, your relationship with food. It's not nice. So you have to keep an eye out for that stuff as well. Like, I said I was never going to do this again, because I did this before, and I said to a lot of people, and a few people said to me, like, geez, I remember you saying before you weren't going to do this again. And I was like, I know, and I truly thought I was not going to do this again because of the negatives I've just spoken about here. So why did I do it again? Well, I feel like you'd want to feel this way. I feel like I'm a different person now compared to when I did this 8 years ago. I've matured. I've got more life experience. I'm more comfortable with who I am as a person and my values and how I want to conduct myself in the world. I've obviously been lifting and training the entire time, learning. I'm more experienced. I'm just more mature. I feel like I was ready to do something like this now. And the first time I did all this, I was ignorant to the price I had to pay. Whereas coming into it this time, I was like, I knew what to expect, and I leaned into that challenge instead of the first time, like being hit with these things and feeling sorry for yourself and complaining and extremely in your head and, well, why me? I was like, okay, this is gonna be hard. This is gonna suck at times. But the older you get, I think that's the type of challenge that excites you a little bit more, because there's some character building in that stuff. Doing hard things, I don't know. As humans, do we really find meaning through suffering and challenge? I think we do. Like, I think there is something to that. Like, we do find a lot of meaning, and we feel good about ourselves when we do things that are hard to do. And I do take that is something that helps me get through this prep, is I'm doing something that, although I think we're all capable of it, not everybody is going to do this. When it's really hard, I'm doing something that a lot of other people, they would just give up on. And that gives you like a mental sort of boost. So I knew coming into it this time that it was going to be hard, but I leaned into that discomfort and wanted to challenge myself. I accepted the terms, you could say, of doing all this. And I wanted to redeem myself. I know the last time I did this, I didn't get lean enough. I was a dick to people along the way. My approach wasn't as good. I didn't train as hard. And yeah, it was redemption in a way, because like, I love lifting weights. And the fact that like, it's such a huge part of my life, it was almost like not doing like the bodybuilding thing justice. Am I really good at this stuff? Do I really love this as much as I think I do? Or am I actually good at this, the thing I really love doing, and I put so much time into every day I've been lifting for 14 years, for the last 14 years. And so I needed to do this again, and I needed to do it right, do it justice, and redeem myself. And I did. I went about this whole process the way I wanted to. I conducted myself well. I got shredded. Like right now, there's lines everywhere on my body. The glutes peeled. I never thought I would see my glutes peeled. I trained my arse off. Like, even though you're going to have some bad days in the gym, those bad days are not from a lack of trying. I have went in there and done my absolute best. So that was important to me, like how I did this, not just the result. Like I did have goals this year in terms of results, but that's secondary to the stuff I just mentioned. I did want to win an overall of a show. That is something I had my sights set on. I wanted to feature on Natty News Daily. And for those who don't know what Natty News Daily is, it's basically an Instagram page that shouts out a lot of natural athletes for doing well or having a crazy physique. And that was like a side quest of mine, was to do that. I wanted to win a sword. I got the sword. So this year has been unbelievable. And then that's a good segue into now talking about some of the good stuff. Like, every day you wake up with such a sense of purpose. Having purpose is great. Like, waking up and not knowing what to do, not having no sense of direction, that is not nice. And I think we've all experienced that with different things or different parts of life. When you wake up and you know, like, oh, this is what I need to do today, it's nice. Like, that sense of purpose, direction that is driving me and fueling me every day, I love it, and I'm going to miss it. As much as I'm struggling now and like, I can't wait till this is over, at the same time, I'm going to be quite lost. I'm going to feel like I'm in no man's land when this is over. Because like, what did I say? I've been doing this process has been 296 days. The period after the show is going to be weird. Like, that's something I've been thinking about, and I just know it's going to be an uncomfortable period. I'm going to feel a bit weird about everything. But that's expected. We all have to go through that with anything. You know, you're excited for a holiday, it's going to end. You're excited to go on a vacation, or same thing. You're excited to compete in a show. You're working really hard to get a business up and running, and then like it's done, and you're like, shit. It's just like what goes up must come down. And I've definitely been on the up and up and up this year with everything I've been doing, how well it's going, getting the invite to compete on a world stage, represent my country. That is incredible. What an opportunity. So naturally, I'm up here. Afterwards, there's going to be that drop. So it is what it is. That's been a huge positive this year. Such a sense of direction and focus. Unreal. As well as the purpose, the memories I've made this year, like that memory I touched on with like going backstage, Katie greet me. Just those shows, the feeling of you did so much work and then just seeing it all unfold the way you wanted to at the end. It's just such a nice way of closing off the entire process, getting up on stage, doing your thing, doing your posing routine. I was actually like, another core memory from this was the first show I did this year, PCA Derry, where when I won the title, when I won the overall, I wasn't actually that emotional because I was already emotional after my individual posing routine before any results, because you do your comparisons with everybody on stage, then you do your individual posing routine, and then after I came off stage, after the individual posing routine, I was like, that's it. It's out of my hands. I've done everything up until that moment. It's led me to that moment, and now it's out of my hands. And I got so overcome with emotion. I had to hold myself back from crying like backstage because I had to go back out there again. Didn't want to ruin my tan. I wasn't expecting to be overwhelmed like that with emotion. I was just so overstimulated. But that was just like, I suppose it was just a proud moment. And like bringing the sword back home, like my dad came into the gym and was playing with that sword for a good 10 minutes before he was like, oh shit, congratulations by the way. Like that was hilarious. Like everything I did to win that sword, and he's just fucking playing with it for 10 minutes, being like thinking he's Jon Snow or Aragorn. from Lord of the Rings, and then he's like, oh yeah, congrats by the way. I just thought that's so funny. That's hilarious. So, and everybody, the last show, all my, like the friends and family who came down to the WNBF in Wexford to travel like 2-3 hours to come see me and support me. It's just been so nice. And you're going to meet some like-minded individuals, and you're meeting people who have all went through the same thing as you, who all share the same passion. They've went through the same struggles, and we've all kind of been struggling on our own, and then you come together in the end, and there's almost a sense of camaraderie there with those people, and it's really cool. Really, really cool, because you understand and they understand exactly what had to be done to get to that moment, and it's tough. Not everybody makes it. So you're going to make some great memories. You're going to meet some great people. Obviously, you're going to look great. You're going to look, while there's a lot of suck involved, you're going to look the best you ever have. And that is pretty cool. And vain as that might sound, vanity is okay in small doses. You know, not everything is black and white. Oh, this is good, this is bad. Vanity is like, oh, you're so vain. It's like, a bit of vanity is okay, people, just so long as we manage it and not get too extreme with it. I think it's okay to take pride in how you look and want to look good, because obviously I think when you look good, you feel good as well. In saying that, I will not care. Like this look I'm going to have will last for the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then it will be gone, because this does not serve me in any way other than I look good and it's cool, but it's not worth staying here. But it is cool, and I suppose I can't ignore that it's going to be good for, if you're in the fitness industry, if you're a trainer, it's going to be good for business and social media. It does. It helps. I've noticed the leaner I get this year, more people give a shit about your coaching and what you're doing, because last year I was posting everything I was doing during my bulk when I was 18 plus kilos. I did not get half as much as the comments as I'm getting this year from people.
No one cared who I was till I put on the mask.
The fake natty accusations this year, like, they weren't there last year, because obviously I didn't look as good last year. When you put on a lot of muscle and then you lean down, the leaner you get, the bigger and more jacked you look. And I've never gotten so many fake natural accusations in my life this year. It's funny, most people accuse you of being a fake natural. Do they realize that that's actually one of the biggest compliments you can give someone who actually is natural? So that was actually another goal of mine this year. I wanted to get to a point where I was like, okay, I want to look unnatural. I want that to actually happen. I want the accusations this year. I know it's a strange one to want, but like, people who lift, you'll understand. Like, if you get to a stage where people don't think you look natural, you've made it. You've made it as a lifter. Why would you ever want to take steroids if you look like you're someone who takes steroids and you don't take steroids? You can have that look without the health complications that come with taking pharmaceuticals. I went through a lot there. So it's just nothing for nothing, right? Like, you want to be shredded, you want the glory, you want to go on stage, you want to look great. Are you willing to pay the price? And the biggest difference between me competing now versus me competing 8 years ago is 8 years ago I was ignorant to the price I had to pay. Now I knew the price and I was ready to pay the piper. So I think that's first and foremost, if you're going to do this, that's what you have to accept the price you have to pay. The second thing is that sometimes people get into competing and they haven't been lifting very long. So first of all, if you haven't been lifting, training for a very long time, then the physique development is probably not going to be that great. So I would say to have some time lifting under your belt before you compete, just so you can put on more muscle tissue. See how you get on with, because competing is so extreme. So see how you get on with like training further away from that extreme. Maybe delve into it a little bit. Maybe do a few gaining phases to build more muscle tissue, and then do like mini cuts. And how do you respond? How do you feel during a mini cut? Are things really tough? Do you not like that? Do you get very uncomfortable? Is hunger something like you really haven't come to terms with yet that you can't accept? Well then, if you're experiencing that during this mini cut, then You're not ready to you're not ready to start competing yet, going down to this end of the extreme. Spend some time around here. That's one thing. When I started out lifting, I probably went too quickly into the extremes of bulking and cutting and not spending enough time here. Here is where you're training, you're building good habits, building a routine, and keeping your calories in and around maintenance. I truly believe that if you cannot stay around maintenance, then you've no business going out here. Okay? Looks funny me doing that. You've no business doing a bulk or a cut if you can't spend time in a maintenance phase and just practice, like, not keeping your calories like the exact same. Like, let's say your maintenance is around 2,700. It's around there. It's a range. It's not 2,700, but like just staying around there and keeping your weight more or less the same. If you can do that, brilliant, because there's no point trying to, like, let's say, do a diet and get lean and then you've never practiced maintenance before. It's like, where do you think you're going to go after the diet's over? Head scratch. You go back to maintenance. But if you've never stayed there before, you never spent time there, practice being at maintenance, you don't know what that is. And then what happens? You're like, oh shit, what do I do now in order to retain my results? Try and eat like a normal person, even though you don't know how. End up eating too much, because at the end of a diet, when the let's say in my case, the competitions are all over, it's like all hell can break loose. Now you have nothing keeping you on the straight and narrow. Your body is primed for food and eating. It's been deprived for a long time. Your brain is like so food focused. What happened to me when I was younger is that like that resulted in me binging, really eating like disgusting amounts of food, out of control, and then feeling so guilty about it, and then actually on 2 occasions make myself get sick after binging, and then trying to go back to low calories again, and just being in that cycle. Horrible place to be. So before, if you're thinking about doing the competing stuff, if you really want to do it, long-term mindset, if you really want to do it right and do it justice and not go about this in a very bad way, because like my experience, would I change things in the past? I don't know, because like that experiencing all those negatives was invaluable to me as a trainer, a lifter, someone who's competing now. Knowing all that stuff, it's just made me a better lifter and a better coach. So I value it. But at the same time, if you can learn and understand that that's what can happen and avoid that happening to yourself or your clients, then why wouldn't you take that route? Learn from my mistakes. Don't go through them unnecessarily if you don't have to. So if you really want to do this bodybuilding thing justice, long term, because you're going to put on more muscle tissue, you're going to set yourself up for a better prep, better success, better end result. And one thing I'll say as well is I could have easily given up on fitness entirely when that bad experience happened to me after competing so many years ago. And because I've seen that happen to people. I've seen people, both men and women, in great shape, who love the gym, who then compete, and then after they binge, they gain a shitload of weight back in such a short period of time. They look worse than when they started the prep, and they fall out of love with the gym. Like they never go back training again. You don't want that to happen. You want to, like, you need to remember you love training. This is all your choice. You love training. This is what you want to do and try and sustain in a way that is sustainable going forward in your life. Like these periods of competing, they're temporary. They're cool to do, but like after the competitions, I love training. I'm just going to get back training and do what I love and put on a bit more body fat, and I can't wait to feel resilient again and not fragile, and eat some more food and feel full of gusto and feel like a certified nail gun again and start lifting some heavy numbers. I love that. Just the focus has to shift, but I'm still going to the gym. It's just a different goal. You don't want to fall out of love with this. I've seen that happen. It's terrible. I feel sorry and sad for these people. I understand it, but you don't want that to happen to you. So that's why I'm making this video, because that easily could have happened to me. It nearly did. So I'm just hoping that by making this video and going on this like rant, that it just makes people aware of everything that encompasses a prep, not just the bad stuff, not just the highlights, but everything that's involved. Because if you know some of the downfalls that are involved, you're more likely, and you still want to go through the prep, you're more likely to be like, okay, I know the bad stuff to expect. Do I really want to do this? Okay, I really do want to do this. And then, yeah, it's not so bad when you know what to expect. When I first did this, when I first did the competing stuff, I didn't know what to expect. And I didn't know what to expect after the show. I didn't know I was going to be like a bottomless pit when it came to food. I understand that now after this show. The food focus is already high, and I've deprived myself so long that food is going to be a challenge, but I didn't realize that at all the first time. And it was problematic, to say the least. And awareness of all this stuff is going to really help you. Time spent at maintenance, training, building good habits, maybe getting a few gainer phases under your belt to build more muscle tissue. And also having a strong understanding of the principles of lifting and dieting. What I mean by that is understanding how this all actually works. If you're someone who thinks that going into the gym, lifting weights and chasing a pump is what builds muscle, and there's certain foods that need to be avoided, otherwise they're like fattening foods. No, you need to really learn like how this all works, how the body works in response to like calorie deficits, and why any diet works is because of a calorie deficit, and like, no food is actually evil or poisonous. We can make any food work in our diet so long as like we're meeting certain guidelines, we're in a calorie deficit, meeting our protein goals. You know how to train, you know how to train hard, you understand your body and like what movements you gel with. Have a strong understanding of that stuff before you prep as well, okay? So there you have it, folks. Bodybuilding, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Been talking for over an hour. Probably should have told you at the start of the video that you should probably listen to this on a walk, or doing your cardio, or cleaning your house, or in a driving somewhere. But here we are. I might include a note at the start of the video to do that. So thank you so much for watching. If you've got this far, I doubt many people have. I will update you all next week after I find out if I'm going to America or not. That's something that's on my mind that is not that nice, to be honest, knowing that America mightn't happen for a lot of reasons. I think I'll let a lot of people down if that happens. I'll feel let down, I'll be disappointed. But look, fingers crossed, it could go really well. So we'll all know next week. Thanks for watching. Train hard.